Former President Donald Trump is calling on his supporters to protest his alleged upcoming arrest for a hush money case in New York. The former president announced the possible arrest over the weekend on his social media platform, Truth Social, saying, quote, "Protest, take our nation back." Joining us live this morning to talk more about the preparations underway, Boyd Matheson, Republican strategist, former chief of staff to Senator Mike Lee of Utah, and also the host of Inside Sources on KSL. Good morning to you. Okay, so Trump himself, even the former Vice President Mike Pence, called the prospect of an arrest a politically charged prosecution. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of questions about the prosecution, especially in a place like Manhattan that is dealing with so many other crime issues. Is this really the number one priority for the Manhattan DA? I think that's a legitimate question. We also, of course, believe that no one's above the law, and so things need to play out in terms of that. The interesting thing to me is all of this is getting so wrapped up into the political space, and really an interesting part of our political space, which has become grievance. America has never been a grievance nation where if you're doing well, that means I'm doing less well, or everything's about complaining about someone who's out to get you or who's against you. And that's the thing that really worries me, not just for the former president and Republicans, but for the country as a whole, is that we've suddenly gone to where everything is weaponized, whether it's the DA in Manhattan, whether it's an agency in Washington, D.C. That's the thing that really concerns me as we watch this thing play out.
And we're seeing some members, high-ranking members of the GOP coming out defending the former president, including House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. I want to play for folks at home some comments he made on Sunday about a possible indictment. Let's listen.
I don't think people should protest this, no. And I think President Trump, if you talk to him, he doesn't believe that either. Nobody should harm one another in this. We want calmness out there. You can go through law after lawyer after lawyer after lawyer will tell you this is the weakest case out there. Trying to make a misdemeanor a felony.
So how weak is this particular case in New York, given some of the other allegations against the former president in Georgia, the classified documents in Florida?
Yeah, it's so interesting that this is the thing that actually is bubbling to the surface, that it's not about January the 6th. It's not about Georgia. It's not about documents at Mar-a-Lago. And I think one of the important things we need to make sure we don't lose on this, Marni, is what is being talked about versus what is not being talked about. Showing Kevin McCarthy spending a good chunk of an opportunity to talk about the border, also to talk about a new energy bill, HB1. It's the most important priority in the new House and the new Congress that would make us energy clean and energy sufficient and energy stable and secure. No one's talking about the critical issues. We're all talking about something that's, again, a misdemeanor to a felony and bubbling on up. And so to me, the great distraction of this weaponization is the thing that we should be worried about across the political spectrum.
Right. And Trump knows how to suck the oxygen out of the room, right? All the attention on him. It's what he's best at. I guess the big question, though, that still remains, was a crime committed?
Yeah, and that is the question. Again, we're looking 7+ years in the rearview mirror in terms of what took place there. And so to me, it's really interesting what the grand jury is actually hearing, what they're going through and what they're likely to come out with. So I don't know what the specifics of the case will be or how they will lay that out. Many of the legal experts have said the case is not super strong. It's a little bit flimsy. And so that part will be interesting. But to your point, Marni, it really plays into President Trump's strength, which is the grievance mentality. He's already sent out a fundraising email around this and a series of posts on his social that really call for all of this grievance, that they're out to get us. I'm the one that's looking out for you. We've got to stand up to this. And again, it's a very grievance-centric message, which is not what the American people are typically all about, but it really muddies the water in terms of the focus. And sadly, it keeps us a very safe distance from the conversations we should be having, either on the left, the right, and as a country.
Right. And in the end, it actually, if no crime was committed, no evidence of a crime is found, then this might change the trajectory for Trump come 2024. This might play right into his hand for a nomination.
Yeah, the grievance that he's played is also getting him some sympathy. I think Governor Sununu summed it up pretty well yesterday, talking in terms of, hey, this is creating some sympathy for the former president. And if it does come out and if the case is flimsy, I think that will just add to that. And of course, the former president is using it to take some shots at some of those that are his likely opponents, Nikki Haley, Governor DeSantis. And he's saying, well, why aren't they speaking up for me? Why aren't they defending me? And so it does really play into that whole grievance campaign mentality that took President Trump to the White House in 2016. He's thinking he can ride that again. So the politics and the messaging of this will be really interesting. But I think as voters and as a country, we've got to make sure we get past just grievance. We've got to get to a forward-moving agenda.
Interesting. Boyd Matheson, as always, appreciate your perspective. Good to see you.
Thanks, Marni.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.